When you're about to hit soft sand, especially if the tide is rising, getting your tire pressures down quickly and accurately isn't just convenience, it is a safety issue. You need a method that is fast, reliable, and won't leave you stranded with a damaged valve. But does spending $200 actually get you on the beach faster than a $25 tool? Or is the cheap Amazon Deflator the same as the premium Aussie-made item? To find out, I bought a variety of tire deflators and I'm going to be testing them on my Land Cruiser in a real-world scenario to see which one is best. I'm going to be testing how easy they are to use, how fast they deflate, and most importantly, if they're accurate enough to trust. I'm going to be testing cheap Amazon Chinese-made deflators, the affordable King's Rapid Deflator, which is the Quickie brand, the legendary Aussie-made Staun Quickset, and the very premium $200 Maxtrax Indeflate. The results? Honestly, they completely changed my mind on what I would recommend. So make sure you watch right to the end because they might surprise you as well. Let's get stuck straight into it. I'm Eamon and welcome back to Bush Business. If you drive off-road, you know the drill. You have to lower your tire pressures. It improves your ride quality, it protects your tires from punctures, but most importantly, it gives you a bigger footprint so you float over sand and mud instead of digging in and bogging down. Therefore, lowering your tire pressures is a critical element of off-road driving. However, here is the reality. Tires are getting larger and larger, four-wheel drives are getting heavier and heavier, and there are so many types of deflators on the market, making it a very hard job to choose which one is best for you. If the tide is coming in or your mates are waiting, you don't want to be messing around for 20 minutes in the heat or cold lowering your tire pressures. And that's even longer if you're towing a caravan or a trailer. You need a method that is fast, easy, and accurate. And because the market is flooded with so many options, and the reviews are often contradictory or sponsored and not entirely unbiased, it leaves you guessing which tire deflator is worth your hard-earned cash, and more importantly, which one can you rely on when you need it the most. Therefore, in this video, I'm going to be running a real-life test of the most popular methods to deflate your tires, so we can work out which one is actually the best, the fastest, the most accurate, and the easiest to use. Before we dive into the results, I want to be clear. As always, this video is 100% unsponsored. I purchased every single item here with my own money, so I can give you the honest truth and save you from wasting your hard-earned cash. So if you do value this kind of honest product testing and review along with 4x4 and camping content, please hit that like and subscribe button for me. It really does help motivate me to keep making more reviews like this one in the future. I've also popped links to all of these products in the description below. If you do decide to grab one of these items using the links provided, there is no additional cost to you, but does help me recoup some of my cost in buying the tested items. Let's get straight to business and have a look at the lineup. The King's Quickie Rapid Deflator costs about $25. It physically pulls the valve core out of the valve stem. It's fast, usually, risky, you'll see. The Rowell Only See Automatic Deflators, an item that I picked up from Amazon, and it is a 4-piece kit for $39. Made in China and has 5 psi adjustment increments. The Staun Quickset Deflators, $120, made in Australia, premium build and 1 psi adjustment increments. And finally, the Maxtrax Indeflate, the most expensive item here at $199. They claim that it equalizes 2 tires at once and do it very quickly. Here is the strict testing protocol. My Land Cruiser is sitting at road pressures, which are 45 psi in the front, 55 psi in the rear. And what we're going to do is we're going to time how long it takes to drop all 4 tire pressures down to my sand driving specifications, which is 15 psi front, 20 psi rear, just like how I do it every time I go to the beach. The timer starts when the first tire hisses and stops when the last one is done, so that way we can see how long it takes to set up and move from tire to tire. Then finally, we verify the accuracy of the pressures using my race tire pressure gauge. Because I have never used any of these items before, apart from the $25 Rapid Deflator, it's going to be a good test to see how easy or hard these are all to use. Before we start the clock, let's have a look at each item and how to use it. The Amazon and Staun units look similar and work in a similar way. You set the target pressure on the valve, you screw the locking ring tight, screw them onto your tire valve, and then they should start deflating until the desired pressure is reached and stop automatically. A closer look at both and you can see that the build quality and the design is very different. The Amazon one feels a little bit light and loose and has 5 psi markings, so you do have to do a little bit of guesswork to set your exact pressure up if it's not marked. To set up the Amazon deflators, you undo the the locking ring up the top, and while looking at the PSI markings and holding the black top section, you undo the brass body until the lip of the brass is on the desired PSI. From there, you tighten the locking ring up the top and it should be ready to use. The Staun feels solid and heavy in the hand, and it does have 1 PSI increment markings for fine tuning. To use the Staun, undo the locking ring, which is actually at the bottom of the unit, not at the top just like the Amazon ones, and then you spin the larger ring, which is the adjuster, until the lip is exactly in line with the thread to the right and just below your desired PSI. That's going to be your starting point. After that, you need to make sure that the notch on the top ring perfectly points at you and is in the center of the PSI readout stalk. From there, you can turn the adjustment ring anti-clockwise to reduce the pressure, or clockwise to increase the pressure by 1 PSI increments for every single notch that you turn. Once you have set your desired pressure, lock the bottom ring tightly without moving the top adjuster, and the Staun is ready to use. The King's Rapid Deflator is what I have been using for years on and off the road. It is a manual deflator that screws onto your tire valve. You then push in the fork to undo the valve core inside and open up the valve to let the air out. Once the desired pressure is reached, you tighten everything back up and you go to the next tire. It is fast but uncomfortable as you have to crouch next to each tire when you're deflating them. And finally, the Maxtrax Indeflate. This one has a massive reputation online because of how many influencers use it. It connects to 2 tires at the same time, and it's advertised to deflate both the tires to the exact pressure at the same time. It can also inflate them when you connect it to a compressor to the right pressure at the same time. Just like the Rapid Deflator, this is also a manual unit where you have to manually open the valve to release the air and then close it back up when your desired pressure is achieved. I've wanted to buy one of these for years, so my expectation is sky high as it should be the fastest and most comfortable to use. Let's see how they held up against the stopwatch and the tire pressure gauge. First up is the Amazon $39 Only C Deflators, clocking in at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Accuracy was surprisingly good, which was within 1 PSI of what I was expecting. However, we did have a failure. One of the deflators vibrated the locking ring loose and it dropped the tire pressure all the way down to 10 PSI. To rule out human error, I redid the full test and I tightened them down as hard as I can, but the same issue happened again. I think that the locking ring design can be improved. However, for this test, 2 chances were plenty. Therefore, they are fast, they are accurate, but not exactly the most reliable. Next are the Staun Quickset Deflators with a time of 4 minutes and 51 seconds. These have a huge following online with many 5-star reviews, but their biggest drawback initially with the original version was how hard they were to set up the pressures as they didn't have markings. However, the new Quickset fixes this problem with PSI markings and they worked like an absolute dream. Accurate to within 1 PSI, 0 failures, and nothing went loose. The locking ring really does bite down hard, and setting them up using the new markings was incredibly easy to get the desired pressure. Next was the King's Rapid Deflator, and surprisingly with a time of 5 minutes and 57 seconds. This genuinely shocked me because I thought it would be the fastest, but by the time you screw it on, remove the valve core, check the pressure, put it back, and then move to the next tire, it was actually slower than the automatic deflators. And this completely contradicts everything you see online because again, they're only looking at doing 1 tire at a time instead of doing all the 4 tires. So that's our first surprise of the day. The pressure gauge is very accurate to within 1 PSI, but as this is a manual deflator, you can quite easily miss the mark. More importantly than anything else for this item was that after years of using this exact deflator, I finally lost the valve core. Just as I started the test, trying to be as fast as I could be, I didn't tighten the core properly, and as I removed the deflator, the valve core shot out and I lost it. The tire went completely flat to 0. If this happened to me out in the bush and I didn't have spares, I would have been completely stranded. And this actually highlights the biggest risk with using this method as a tire deflator. And finally, the star of my show is the Maxtrax Indeflate. And again, I had very high hopes and expectations for this. However, the deflation time was actually 7 minutes and 18 seconds. Surprisingly, this was the slowest method, but the speed isn't everything and accuracy is also important. And this is where I was very disappointed. The pressure didn't equalize as expected. Throughout the test, left and right pressures during both inflation and deflations were not equalizing as expected. I think leaving the Maxtrax Indeflate connected for a longer time will probably slowly equalize the tire pressures, but that isn't practical or how they're actually advertised. And for $200, I did expect expect much more from this item. I did email Maxtrax to see if my unit is faulty and get their feedback, as it doesn't feel right for me to get this result, and I'll let you know if they do reply. So which one should you buy? Here is my honest take. I can't recommend the Maxtrax Indeflate right now. It is the most expensive, the slowest, and in my test, the least accurate. I'll update you if Maxtrax supports resolves this issue, but for now, it's not something that I'm going to be using myself. If you are on a strict budget and you haven't worked out what tire pressures you should be on, I suggest using the King's Rapid Deflator. It's only $25 and it works. Just be very careful with that valve core. You must carry spares so you don't end up getting stranded. The Amazon deflators were surprisingly accurate and cheap and fast, but you must use thread lock or pliers to set them, which means that you can't easily adjust the pressure after you have set them up and locked them. If that ring loosens up and falls off, the deflators are useless. So make sure if you do grab them, make them as tight as possible. And the winner for me for which one is the best is the Staun Quickset, hands down. They are fast, incredibly accurate, easy to set, and built like a tank. You set them up once, you screw them on, and you walk away and you're done. I absolutely love the individual PSI adjustment accuracy, and they look fairly easy to take apart and clean if you have to. I feel comfortable trusting their adjustment, and if I want to tweak my pressures for gravel or mud instead of sand, I feel like I can. Also, I do want to give a massive shout out to Kyle, the CEO of Staun. I had a shipping issue and I sent out an email on Sunday night just after New Year's. Unexpectedly, he replied to me straight away within an hour and personally sorted the issue out. In addition to that, he gave me a top tip to share for those who own the original Stauns, so you can set them up easier, just like the new Staun Quicksets. This old school customer service is rare to find these days, and it's worth a shout out and my money any day of the week. So tell me in the comments below, did these results surprise you as much as they surprised me? And what deflator are you currently using and how has it been working? Especially if you own the Maxtrax Indeflate, has it been accurate for you? Also, worthy of a mention is that I was super impressed with the King's digital compressor for this test. I wasn't expecting to use it for the whole test. I was expecting to use it just for 1 or 2 deflation cycles, but due to an error with my bigger compressor, it ended up doing the full test all day long, and I'm going to be doing a full review in the future about this, so make sure you subscribe and you don't miss that. Once again, I've left links to all of these products in the description for you if you want to check them out. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.